one of the best that Bleacher Report puts out there for sure to give us all news and information. And there's a lot of talk about Odell Beckham potentially being on the move. Still, that rumor's been out there, and it seems to be gaining a bit of steam. And to talk about that and the rest of the NFL draft that's coming up from Bleacher Report, Mike Freeman. How are you, Michael?
Very good, my man. First, I got to say, what you do with the draft and St. Jude's, and I mean, it's really amazing, and I just want to make sure I said that to you. I haven't said that to you yet. It's fantastic.
Thanks, Mike.
What you do, and it's very appreciated. And will Beckham ever be? He may never be traded, but it's this stupid rumor that won't go away.
Well, why? Why do you think that rumor won't go away, Mike?
It's because some of it is because when I spoke to people about it, some of it is because they don't think he's a perfect fit in that offense. They think he's not. They don't think Baker Mayfield is that accurate of a passer, and that will tend to frustrate Beckham, and that chemistry isn't quite there. You saw some of that. Some of the chemistry was lacking last season. That's because they're so new together, and that could really improve this year, and they have a real head coach this year. So all of that could really dramatically change very quickly, but it's this feeling, and I think it's a wrong one, Rich, that Beckham can't get along with anyone. I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think he's that bad a guy. He's a hard worker. He's very talented. But he has this perception in the league that he is a troublemaker and can't get along with people. And they think that situation there is explosive potentially. I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like he gets a little bit of a bad rap, but I also think that there's some truth to it, that he's not a perfect fit with that quarterback in that offense. But this is a big year. We'll see this year what happens.
Mike Freeman, a Bleacher Report here on the Rich Eisen Show. And you know what? I know he, screamed at kicking nets, right? And we all know that he was part of the famed boat crew the days before a huge playoff game, the Giants' last playoff game that they played in Green Bay, and then punched a hole in the wall, et cetera, so on and so forth. But again, I've heard the same thing too, Mike, that his teammates love him, and that they get a big kick out of him, and that when he scores and he makes a big play, that just there's few players in the NFL that can, when they make a big play, can lift the entire team. So the question is what are you hearing is supposedly the bad mix between him and Mayfield?
It's not that there's any kind of personality clash. It's just that Baker Mayfield has some problems with accuracy, and will he be able to get better at that and just connect with Beckham? That's the big issue. But what you hit on there is dead on about his teammates in New York. A lot of the players really liked him. In Cleveland, a lot of the players really like him. He's very well liked in that locker room and appreciated. And when you talk to teammates about him, as I've done repeatedly, first thing they'll tell you is how hard he works and how supportive he is of people around him, and how the media sort of blows up some of this stuff. But yeah, this is going to be, I think, constantly around because of Beckham's personality. It is explosive, and the belief that he's not a great fit there. This season will determine where that goes. Where that goes this year will determine, and that Browns team could be really good because they got a lot of talent. So it could be this season will determine where and when Beckham, where he goes, how long he stays in Cleveland, if he stays for a long time, if he stays for a short time.
Yeah, I guess you could say, Mike, that the annual video. Remember, every team used to have like a video that would come out for the season. The Browns video going in is this Browns team could be really good, and then the video coming out is the Browns team could have been really good, and then that's the issue.
Right.
So what do you think the odds are that this guy does get traded? It's got to happen, one would think, in the next 72 hours, right? You've got to be able to take whatever you get and plug it right into a very deep draft, certainly at the wide receiver position.
Well, I think the odds overall are pretty small. I think the Browns want to give this another season and see what happens when you have a really good offensive system. Give those two, Beckham and Mayfield, more time together, and then see how that goes. You just don't want to really just give up on a guy like that so quickly. So I think the odds are small. But when the Browns say there's no way we're doing it, like, don't believe that. Teams always say that. Teams always say there's no way we're trading this guy, and then they trade him. So it's not necessarily what the Browns say, though I tend to believe them. It's more just they don't want to. They think this guy's really good, and they want to see what happens with one more season with them together and see how that goes. And if it's what I think it could be, then he won't go anywhere for a while. But if you see that lack of chemistry again, then it could be an issue. And I'll just say this real quick, Rich. One of the things that's happening now is we saw this a little bit 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, a little bit where teams were very hesitant to trade star receivers. They happened. I mean, Randy Moss got traded. You saw some of that. You saw Terrell Owens change teams. But teams were still hesitant to do it because of the evolving passing game, how important receivers were. And now there's so many good receivers, they're not as afraid anymore. They're willing to get rid of. I mean, Houston's a little bit of a different situation because that situation is crazy. But still, you will see that there are still teams. There are teams that are saying, "I'm not as married to this great receiver. I will take a chance with another receiver in the draft or free agency." And it's been like that, and it's changing. The receivers are still obviously huge because the passing game is so big in the NFL, but they're not as afraid to make a move with a very talented wideout as they once were.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.